Hello, everybody. I'm Audrey, and I hope you're all well and staying safe. Today, I just wanted to share with you 4 simple but really effective yoga poses that unravel the spine. This is really helpful for aches and pains of all kinds, including low back pain, sciatica, neck and shoulder pain. And it's great for stress and anxiety because it calms and soothes the nervous system. And basically, afterwards, you'll feel a sense of ease and a sense of well being and peace. So, we'll begin. Um, all you need is a chair or a stool to put your legs up onto, and maybe a couple of pillows or blankets, and you'll see why. One for your head. When you put your legs up, make sure that you're generally back from that stool or chair, and you're not so close that your lower back starts to raise up in an arch position. You want your lower back to flatten out, and that will feel much better. Okay, so to start this, you come into a knees to chest hold. The knees want to be together, and if you find that difficult, sometimes you might find your legs just go to there. You may find when you slip your hands behind your knees, you can bring your legs together. Okay. And you're just letting your legs soften into the support of your arms and the hips to settle back into the support of the floor. And just spend a few breaths here. Then, keeping one leg exactly where it is, you just support that knee and extend the other leg out over the chair. And this is it. You're letting the leg, once again, soften into the support of your arms. And this will allow the layers of your hips to start releasing and the back of your hip to settle back eventually into the floor. Be aware of when the leg starts to release, there can be a tendency for it to slip out to the side. It just starts to go out. Just catch it, and bring it back, guide it back, so it's in line with that same side rib cage. Because that will track that release down through your hip into the back of the hip. And this is releasing the very base of your spine. If it flails out to the side, you'll miss that. Lastly, you can draw your leg in a little further in as it releases more and you feel that tension release, which allows your leg to come forward. But don't yank it in to get it as close as possible, especially when you first come into the pose, because you'll miss the spinal release. Okay? And then when you're going to change sides, you just bring your other leg up, slide your hands back around the knees, and you'll probably see quite a few big difference between where my knees are placed next to each other. I've just had a release on this side, and you can really see that. And then you would just go to the other side and do the exact same thing, which I won't demonstrate. We're going to move on to the second pose. But you would take a couple of moments just to enjoy the change, the effect after each pose. Okay, pose number 2 is called thread the needle, and you just cross your ankle over your thigh so that the ankle bone is on the thigh bone. It's not falling off to one side or the other, but it's right on top of the thigh. You can draw the knee towards you a bit, and that will help level out your hips, square them off, release the lower back, and then you can gently press your leg back away from you. Not to the point where you twist, but just to the point where you feel you've reached some edge of tension, and then you just rest here. And you can draw that leg again in and slide the ankle down the leg, and then gently press it away from you. So this is basically releasing your lower back. and you just breathe and let the alignments do the work for you as the lower back releases more and more. Okay, so on this pose, and when it's time to come out after about a minute, minute and a half, you slide your leg back up and over and pause to check out the differences. I am going to show you this same pose from another angle because I think it's helpful. And also one other way of doing this. Okay. So instead of resting my legs up on the chair, what you can do is scoot away from the chair, or again, or stool, whatever you're using, or couch. And you're going to put your feet along the edge of that piece of furniture. And what it does is it lets you press and lean into the support, and that allows your lower back to release even more. So I bring my feet together, and I'm going to do the other side. So I cross my ankle over my thigh. And then draw the knee toward me, and I'm going to slide my ankle down a bit and then gently press the knee back away. And I rest my elbow onto the floor. So you don't want your elbow up like that because that will just tighten up your shoulder. So slide the hand down, let your elbow rest on the floor. And basically, once again, I can lean into the piece of furniture to deepen this effect of releasing my lower back. So that's what it's all doing. You have to let it go through the hips so the lower back releases. And it feels very nice. The way to go deeper is, again, sliding the ankle down the leg and pressing your leg away from you. Not so much that you twist, but just where you make that edge of tension. And then when you're ready to come out, you just slide your leg back up and place your feet next to the other one. Okay. So we're going to go to pose number 3. I'm coming back to the same angle that I started in because I think you can see this pose easier this way. But when you're doing this practice at home, you don't need to change positions all the time. You can just stay where you were right from the beginning. Okay. My props ready. Right, coming back to knees to chest. That will be the starting position. And we'll be moving into a reclining twist. This is the 3rd pose. I release my arms on the floor, and I'm floating my legs over to one side and resting them onto the floor. Alignments. Wrist bone of the little finger side and kneecap, lower kneecap come together. So for instance, if you are coming down with the legs and you're dropping them on the floor and you're thinking, oh right, wrist bone, kneecap, how do I get this? Usually your arm comes down a bit and your legs slide up a bit until those 2 points meet. Okay. If there was a gap between your thigh, feel free to place a blanket or a pillow, a firm pillow between your thighs. Now regarding the back arm, if your shoulder feels tight or sore or the elbow's not quite resting on the floor, bend the elbow, rest your hand across the side of your waist or ribs and let your elbow and shoulder tip behind you. And it may even be nice to place a little support under your elbow. Now that's a bit high. I feel like it's lifting it too high. So I'm going to just lower it. There, perfect. That feels great. And then you just let your body settle into the twist, and the spine will just unravel here. It's very calming. It helps the neck and shoulders. See, I'm just starting to lose my words. I can't really talk anymore because I'm going into the zone. And then when it's time to go out and you go to the other side, just a little hint. Instead of just whipping your legs up, if you start with one leg first and then you use your elbow to get the other leg up off the floor, that will keep your back nice and soft. If you just whip the legs up, you'll tighten your back to do that. And that kind of wastes the last 15 minutes of what you've just done to release your spine. And then you would do the other side, same thing. And to come out of the pose, so starting from one side to come out, so I can show you this, all you do is roll over on that same side you're facing. You might want to raise your blanket up so you can just pause here for a couple of breaths. It's just nice to have your head a little higher. And then when you feel ready to come up, it's good to give yourself a few moments to integrate here. But when you're ready to come up, you just use your hands and arms to come up from your side into an upright position. And then we'll finish with the last pose, which is called the lunge. So this is the fourth pose. With lunge, you will need a set of blocks. I'll try and give you the side that's not so full of stains. Right, so the cameraman is making me laugh. Right, he's showing me the teacup. So we'll be ready to have some tea soon when I finish. Right, fourth pose, lunge, focus. You're going to be on hands and knees. You'll have a set of blocks. You're going to slide one foot forward in between the blocks. I'm tipping my head down, sneaking a peek between my legs. If I see my back foot, I slide it out of view. So that would be in view, which you don't want to see. You just slide it out of view. And the last alignment before you come into the lunge is twisting. So I'm just going to twist my belly over to get that same side rib cage over the thighs. So that lower bit's twisted, but I want to bring my upper spine out of a twist. So I scoop some ribs up, I lift and lengthen, so I'm facing forward. I know it's a bit much to take all that in. It's basically twisting over to get the ribs over that direction, my left ribs, left thigh, but then I want to come out of the twist with my upper spine. So when I come into the lunge, I'm facing forward. So you move your blocks forward, that gives you some room to bend the knee and lunge. Now, if I look down at my foot, I see my ankle's not under the knee, so I want to shuffle the foot along until that alignment occurs, ankle under the knee. And you want to bring your blocks so they're generally under the shoulders. You're not reaching for them in either direction, forward or back. They're generally under the shoulders. And then you let your head hang, and you can let the hips hang out. And now you're in the lunge. The hips are hanging in gravity. They're softening like a hammock. And you might find as you might sink into the hips will soften more, and then the weight comes out of your arms, and that will tell you you might be wanting to drop the blocks down lower because you sunk into the hips. You always need to readjust the ankle under the knee. When you sink, you often bend the knee, and therefore you need to realign your ankle under the knee. And then when you're ready to come out here, you would press your foot into the floor, press your hands into the blocks, and bring your hips out and slide your foot back. And again, a minute and a half per side. I am going to show you the other side, just so you get another angle on this pose. Oops, because I think it's helpful. So one leg comes forward, and then I twist the belly, untwist the ribs, so I'm facing forward. I've got my right ribs over my right thigh. Oops, I forgot to check my back foot. Slide it out of view. Bring your blocks forward, and that gives you the room to bend the knee and lunge. My knee's gone over the ankle, so I need to shuffle the foot to get the ankle under the knee. Blocks under the shoulders. Let the hips hang out like a hammock. They're hanging into gravity, starting to release. And then you may find you sink into the hips and you just feel you're ready. You just feel like you want to drop the blocks down. I need to realign my ankle under my knee. So, in the pose, just like alternate leg, you don't want that leg to flail out. Sometimes it starts to do that as you've been in the pose. Even if it's a little bit, you don't want it to flail out. Draw it back under those ribs. And if you've gone really a bit, further, and you feel like it's just shifting out to the side, you may need to come back higher again to get that leg to go underneath the ribs. And you get a lovely opening in that back thigh into the front of the hip crease, while the back of your waist is releasing and everything is sliding out of your tailbone. To come out again, you just press your hands in the blocks, press your foot into the floor, and back your hips out. Slide your foot back to meet the other one. Sit back onto your heels and really just enjoy the changes that you'll be experiencing after doing these 4 amazing poses. I do feel peaceful, and I do feel a sense of well-being, and I feel many aches and pains have just left my system, my body, and I'm ready to get up and have a cup of tea. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.